trig function with U substitution. If you forgot your trig functions, which I think you guys didn't, you can always go back to chapter 3 and look them up, or look at your flashcards. We're going to do the integral of x times cosine of 2x squared dx. Okay. Now here's where people start to get confused, because they'll say, well, shouldn't you be cosine of 2x squared? And I'll say to them, but do you see the derivative of cosine in the problem? You don't see negative sign in the problem, right? So then that tells you, nope, you're not going to use the cosine for your U substitution. What else could I use? 2x squared. Well, what's the derivative of 2x squared? 4x. Now I don't see a 4x, but remember how we can move the 4. That's not a problem, but I see an x, so that makes that the best candidate. So what we're going to do is we're going to let u equal 2x squared, and then du is 4x dx. Now, do you agree with me? I can multiply in any order I want, right? So I could put the x right there if I wanted. Do you see the x dx? Here, I'm going to rewrite that so you see it, okay? So this time in the problem, I don't want to sub out for dx. This time I want to sub out for x dx. So let's get x dx alone. So 1/4 du equals x dx, and then I'm going to be able to get rid of all of the x expressions in there. So I'm going to rewrite it now. This is the integral of the cosine of u. Instead of x dx, I'm going to write 1/4 du. I like to put the 1/4 out here. Yay, and this is super easy to integrate now, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the antiderivative of cosine? Sine. But it's just a 1/4 out in front. So this is 1/4 sine of u plus c and then we sub back in 1/4 sine of 2x squared plus c. Now, here's the awesome thing about integration. You automatically have a built-in check. How can you check if your answer is right? Do the derivative and just make sure that you get that. So if I wanted to do the derivative, now I understand that maybe on some of them you don't need to, but this one, just to make sure, okay, this is chain rule. Oh, so I do outside first. What's the derivative of sine? Cosine, and I don't change the inside at all, correct? Well, and I have the 4th there. And then it would be times the derivative of the inside, which would be 4x squared. Do you guys see how the 4 and the 4x, do you see how the 4 and the 1/4 go away? And I have the same thing I started with. Okay. How are we doing? How do you like it?
It's fun.
All right, let's do one more.
I guess I don't get how to choose like what to do.
Let's try another one.
Okay.
And this one, hopefully you'll see why you choose what you choose as well. Okay. So up here we had a cosine in it, but we didn't choose cosine because we didn't see the derivative of cosine in there. And that's a key thing, because you have to find du as well, and you have to sub it out. And if I can't sub out du because it's not there, I can't do that. All right, so hold on. This one is the square root of cotangent of x times cosecant squared of x dx. In your head, try to figure out what your u is going to be. And you should see some form of the derivative of it in the problem. At first, you might be like, what in the world? We don't know how to do that.
So it's the derivative.
Yes. Okay, so at first it looks really, yes, we have to be able to sub it out. So at first it looks really yuck, but then I think it to myself, well, wait a second, what's the derivative of cotangent? Yeah, isn't it negative? Yeah.
Is it negative? Yeah.
Yeah. But still, I can work with positives and negatives, I can work with constants. So now I know, okay, that's going to be my u because I see my du and I'm going to be able to take it out. Okay, so here's what I'm going to write. U is cotangent of x. What's du? Negative cosecant squared of x dx. Alright, so when I sub out, I need to sub out not negative cosecant squared x, but just cosecant squared x dx, right? So what should I do? Just make du negative. So negative du is equal to cosecant squared x dx. Alright. What do you think, guys? Tell me what I should write next.
Square root of u.
Okay, are you okay if, so the square root of u, but I'm going to write u to the 1/2 times negative du. Do you see how, because I wrote it this way, I can take this and sub it with that? Okay, so I'm going to put the negative here and the du here. So the super complicated thing when I write it with a u is not as nearly as bad. Okay, so, and we can make it a -1 or whatever. So once again, this is negative. If I add the power back on, it's u to the 3/2. What do I need in front to cancel it out? I'm running out of time. And this would be negative 2/3 times cotangent of x to the 3/2 power plus b. Which again, you can go back and write it as a cubed and a square root if you would like.